Hi, and welcome to Something for the Weekend, brought to you as always by Together 2012. We're a community interest company led by disabled artists and based in the main London 2012 host borough of Newham. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as the artist Ju90, and with me, where we've been, well, we've lost count really since the beginning and indeed before lockdown one, is Julie Newman, our chair, the artist and activist. We're dressed up to go out to stay in as usual, so we'll come back for some audio description. And I don't think you need much clues to know what we're doing, but Julie?
Da 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 da.
But first, over to the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa to the West Midlands for some introductions, audio description, and tell us, what are you dressing up to go out to stay in to do this week?
Hello. Hello. I'm Tracy Surgeon, and we're here in our West Midlands studio with our red velvet curtains behind us. And today I am dressed up to, I'll describe myself first. I've got long blonde hair, which is in a high ponytail and draped around my face. I've got pale skin, blue eyes. I'm wearing a tie-dye long sleeve t-shirt with blues, yellows, greens, red. Yeah, very, very funky, very 80s. And I've got some pretty pretty yellow flowers in front of me. That should give you a clue. And today I am dressed up to go out to stay in to listen to the Spotify rave playlist. Too much playlist.
Too much raving.
Too much. Yeah, no, Spotify is something you can download for free as long as you're prepared to just put up with a few adverts, which for free I can put up with adverts. And that could be on your phone, your computer, even on your TV if you've got a smart TV. So it's something I'd recommend. It's really good to just close your eyes, get into the groove, and forget everything else.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I really love about it is you can just search for a subject for playlist, can't you? But
Yeah.
also have some playlists put together by our very own Robin Surgeon, also known as Angry Fish, and Julie Newman, also known as Julie Newman. So if you go to the join in from home section of our website, www.together2012.org.uk, go to that pull down menu, listen with Together. There's links to a whole range of playlists, from classical playlists, funky playlists, I think some quite political playlists.
It depends on where your politics are, I guess.
Yes, well, things you may or may not describe as political. And if you fancy putting together your own playlist to share with Together 2012, then please do let us know. But Robin, who are you? What do you look like? You dressed up
So,
to stay?
I am Robin Surgener. I am business director at Together 2012, a co-host, and indeed an artist known as Angry Fish. Today I am wearing silvery white hair as per usual, my new dark rimmed glasses in front of my blue eyes, white skinned, and I am wearing a grey hoodie with the hood nicely comfy around my collar, like a bit of a sweatshirt. I mean, like a bit of a scarf out the sweatshirt hood. It's a sports trick actually to do that, about using your hood to kind of create warmth rather than just putting it on your head. And it has on the front in darker grey and red Team GB info for Tokyo 2020. And I'm wearing this because, if you may be able to hear, apologies if you can, I have still got the same cold that I had last week and done multiple tests. So just to make sure that I'm only got a cold. But it's a pretty hefty reminder that COVID is not the only illness that you can get at the moment. So after all that, I am dressed up to stay in, to not go to the gym, but to find some way of sweating this cold out of me. I'm going to get hot. I've got stuff to do exercising.
Too much information. But that hoodie I know is a favourite because it comes out at least once a month for a different occasion.
Yeah.
Very, very flexible hoodie. I was looking forward to one, thinking about what was going to happen. So, Julie, some audio description.
Hi, I'm Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. Today I'm wearing a black fedora, Ju says, which I think is probably true. I cannot dispute that. I have dark rimmed glasses. I do have silver threads amongst the gold at the moment. My hair is down on my shoulders, and I would like you to take your hand off. Thank you.
Stop rustling the papers then.
And I'm wearing a purple glittery shirt. I do actually have little glittery jewels on my neck and on my wrist, because Ju and I are going to Strictly Come Dancing, and we're going to win the glitter ball in our dreams.
Or at least we're going to watch the first of the live shows on BBC One on Saturday night, which is almost as good. And we're particularly celebrating. Can I just say, Robin, could you turn your monitor down slightly, because I can hear myself speaking at your end, which is probably a bit irritating for the audience. But yes, we've got the first all-male couple dancing. So we're dressed up to pay tribute to Johannes and John Waite, who will be making their debut on the dance floor very, very soon. I don't know, because only half of them dance the first Saturday, don't they?
No, I think everybody's dancing because there's no voting. It starts at 7:00, and I think there's a clear run through. My understanding is it's for everybody because there's no voting, and the show begins proper next week.
Well, maybe it's a very long one then, because usually the first two shows, they split them because there's just so many people to start with and so many videos to get through. And they didn't announce all of the dances last week, if you were listening.
I did
But
listen.
we'll just have to double check. But, as soon as Johannes and John are there, we'll be out there supporting them. We were gutted that Nicola Adams and Katia had to drop out last time. So this is really, fingers crossed, the first show where there's going to be a same-sex couple get to show what they can do and not get knocked out by COVID, but get knocked out by the audience instead. So I'm Ju Gosling, and my audio description is as follows. I have a self-styled hennaed corona crop, mercifully hidden under a grey trilby. I've got pale olive skin with green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I've got black plastic wrist braces, silver-coloured jewellery, and paying tribute to Strictly, I've got sort of glittery crystal earring studs. I've got a big crystal heart around my neck and extra rings. Julie, you look like you've been robbing the chandelier at Blackpool with those necklaces and bracelets. That's a little bit of extra audio description for anybody who can't see.
I wish I could reach it. I'd have special earrings then.
But don't get anywhere near any sparks in the studio, because I dread to think what might happen to our shirts. I've actually got over a black vest, a kind of, I don't know quite how to describe it. It's a sort of black and silver mesh short sleeved shirt. It's got an open collar and the sleeves go all the way down to the elbows. Another long wearing outfit that I've had for at least 25 years that comes out on occasions. Behind us, you can see a little bit of the Together 2012 graffiti banner. You can see the whole banner image on our website and various bits of publicity, but it's covered with images of all the art forms we cover in the course of a year, from live music, poetry, spoken word, visual art, live art, outdoor arts, carnival art, photography, filmmaking, and much, much more. And we're going to move on and have a look at what people have been doing this week in our clubs programme. Our clubs programme operates all year, apart from a 3-week break at Christmas when we close down for a proper rest after our festival. But we know that there's lots and lots of other things on offer. So, Julie, we're going to start with some poems from yesterday's pop-up poetry club. Do you want to tell us about it first?
Yes. Would you like me to explain the poetry club itself?
Well, just give us a bit of an introduction on what happened yesterday and what the theme was and so on.
Okie doke. Well, on a Wednesday morning, Alison Marchant, who's our program leader, phones everybody up who's contacted her and wants to take part. From about 20 past 10 to about 10:30. It's a free service, so nobody has to pay any of the call charges. We do that. By 10:30, we're ready to rock and roll. And the theme this week was end of summer. Alison gets everybody together, and the first half, so that's from 10:30 to 11, each of us has a chance to read a poem, either inspired by the theme, linked to the theme, something that we've written around the theme, or perhaps even not. But it's an opportunity just to sort of get a taster of the session itself. And then at 11 o'clock, we end the call, and Alison calls us back at about 11:20 after we've had a chance either to do some very rapid writing, or to finish off something, or to add something, or to get a cup of tea, quite simply. And then we're live again on the phone from 11:30 till 12. During the second half, we do have an opportunity to read our own work. And if somebody hasn't been inclined or able to write a poem on the theme, then they're welcome to read a poem that they think is appropriate.
Thanks, Julie. So the Pop-Up Poetry Club End of Summer. We've got some poems to share. Unfortunately, the quality of the phone call is such that we can't actually record people, which is a great shame. But however, coming up in November, we have the second of this year's Together Pop-Up Poetry Cafes, where all our poets will be performing on Zoom. So we'll be giving you more news of that very, very shortly. But in the meantime, Robin, would you Tracy like to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. I've got one by Crystal Peasy entitled End of Summer. I like to talk about the end of summer. The end of summer is beautiful, and all the leaves drop on the floor, moving into autumn, and all the trees become naked, and all the branches fall down. There's nothing left of the tree. The end of summer becomes darker, and the sun falls early. The sky is filled with clouds and it's windy. People prepare their winter clothes like coats, jumpers and thick trousers. And when I go to my mum's, it's lighter. And I come back at 8 p.m. and it's darker.
Oh, thanks for that, Crystal, and thanks for reading that, Tracy. And yesterday, of course, in terms of our live recording at least, was the equinox. So it's going to be getting darker and darker and darker from now on, Crystal. Julie, I think you've got one by Alison, who's our club's programme leader.
Yes, thank you. This is by Alison Marchant. It's called The End of Summer. A shorter breath of day, a fresh morning, and summer is away. A quietness is distilled as the dusk draws in early, and summer has had its journey.
Thank you, Alison. What have we got next from the West Midlands?
We have one from Glory Sengo entitled End of Summer. This is the end of the summer, and the rain has changed. And then it will become sunny and chilly again.
Short and to the point. I love that, Glory. That really does say it all. I could almost imagine that on a card. So this is Pies and Malik Neve, and it's called End of Summer. In the house, I see my girls folding away all the flowery clothes, bright red and grey, all the jewelries and high heels, colourful hats into boxes and tills, stacking them neatly in the loft, saving them from the coming frost. Outside, I see people walking home early, as some has gone to bed already. The wind is blowing cold, bringing down the leaves that are old. My sons are going through the wardrobes, looking for jumpers, scarf, gloves and boots, ready for the cold winter wear, and saying goodbye to summer fare. The squirrels are now resting after the non-stop gathering of nuts, fruit and beans they steal, stocking them ready for their winter meal. Sunny, busy, and merry summer is going, leaving us to deal with winter snowing, wrapping our body with warm woolly clothes which were kept in the wardrobes. Although mostly black and heavy, they are still beautiful and glittery, making you look just as pretty when you go to the coming Christmas party. Thank you, Pizer. I think that was a really nice way of welcoming the end of summer and the coming of Christmas. And I should say the end of summer is also marked together by Hackney Carnival, which took place Hackney Carnival at home, virtually online last weekend. So I'm delighted to say at the end of the show, we are finally able to show you the digital performance bats that we created for Hackney Carnival. And we've also got a performance piece coming up from a young disabled person, a music performance. So we've got two great digital performances to mark the end of the summer today. But in the meantime, going back to the West Midlands, let's have another poem from you.
Okay, I've got one by Dawn Bryan.
No.
Sorry, that's the wrong one, isn't it? I've got right. So I've got one by Dawn Barber, The Final End. Summertime is coming to an end. I will have to say goodbye to my darling friend. Leaving. Sorry. Shall I start again? My poem is by Dawn Barber, The Final End. Summertime is coming to an end. I will have to say goodbye to my darling friend. Leaves falling from the trees. Not seeing many birds and bees. Getting darker by the minute. We have to have winter. Not much get so blue. Trying to make the best of it. Give it a little bit of love. But I can't wait for my darling summer to come around again, so the sun can shine on me and my dear friend.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. Very thoughtful as always. Julie.
Thank you. This is my poem. It's called Summer's End. I just thought I'd mix it about a bit. And so September takes its place in the endless race each year. Which month will pass the soonest? Which month will leave the saddest tear? But yet as seasons change with time, memory of summer dwells. Should we pause and take a breath, drinking deep the autumnal smells? For as the harvest moon will shine, the petals fall from the rose, the spiders weave their endless webs, and the balance of days draws close. The moon hangs full on the horizon, the orb so orange and bright. Grains are reaped and gathered, safely stored in the fading light. September bids a last farewell. The harvest is abundant. Stores are in, the larder full, with fruits so tender and pungent. The sun now shines a gentler light. The stars they glimmer brightly. In skies much softer and dark, the moths are gathering nightly. The progress of life continues. The seasons change as they must, and day and night hangs balanced till it is tipped and we adjust. The autumn days give time to rest. The colours turn rich and brown, oranges, reds and yellows, as trees shed their leaves to the ground. The days become shorter now. Gone is the summer palette. We get ready for winter, and change moves around the planet.
Thank you, Julie. And I think I speak for the rest of us when I say we don't know how you managed to write one of those every Wednesday morning. I think, is there one left, Robin?
There is. And this is the one from Dwayne Bryan. Apologies, that was a production assistant error there. So this is End of Summer by Dwayne. The end of summer is here, and you can feel that autumn is near. Will it be cold? Will it rain? Will the trees have leaves? Will they remain? The sun doesn't shine as often as it does, and the sky looks gloomy up above. The leaves start to fall off of the tree, and the ground is softer under my feet. You may feel a light chill in the air. That's a small sign that winter is near. The leaves start to change colour and wither away, and that's when you know it's going to be soon a winter day.
Thank you, Robin. And I've had a message just to say, could we turn Tracy's microphone up very, very slightly, please? And while we're doing that, I'm going to move on to news from the Together 2012 Art Club. The Art Club runs 2 sessions a week on Zoom from 11 to 12 on a Tuesday and a Friday. And on a Friday, we have a on a Friday, we have a still life session. And as is traditional, I'm going to put the image up on the screen and get Robin to audio describe it without having seen it first.
Okay, so today we have a picture. It is a pair of shoes and a corsage. It's a very elaborate pair of shoes. They are almost like dancing slippers. So they have a buckle across the front and a little bit of a heel, but they are of a sort of musky silver color, and decorated all over with beads, silver and goldy beads, I would imagine. And they're sat slightly kind of apart with the space for a beautiful corsage between the heels of the shoes. So the toes are together, the heels are spread apart in a V. And then in the middle is this corsage, which has got some green leaves. Again, this sort of musky, mauvey rose and a slightly darker sort of silvery grey rose.
Thank you, Robin. So now I'm going to just show you a few of the images that we've had from other people. So this is by Sophia, and Sophia has used crayon, I think, very, very effectively. She's used brown for the shoes, and then she's picked out the corsage, so you can really tell the difference between the corsage and the shoes in yellows, purples, and blues. And then this one is by Margaret Spence, and I think Margaret has been using watercolor. Wouldn't like to swear to that, but really, really nice. And what I like as well is that Margaret's put the shadows in from the shoes and has really got the shape nicely. And that's in blues, purples, and yellows. Then this is by Leigh Brooker, and a beautiful, beautiful representation in coloured pencils. And Leigh's picked up the browns and also put the corsage and given it lots of red elements as well as bringing out the orange. That's beautiful, Leigh. And this is Crystal Peasy, and Crystal's done a very energetic painting in browns and purples and pinks, and she's almost kind of seen herself looking down on it, which I think is really interesting. She's given it a different shape. She's actually imagined herself in a different place to the image. What Alison does with the image is creates it in advance. She shares it on Zoom and does an audio description session at the beginning, and it's quite a mindful session, the whole still life session. But she can also send you that image by email, text, WhatsApp, whatever suits you best to make it possible for you to join in. And then, as you can tell, people just use whatever they have at home. So I think there's just one more. And this is by Cheryl McClellan, and another beautiful drawing. Cheryl's really pulled out pinks and purples in the shoes, and then turned the corsage green to make it stand out. And one of the things I always love about looking at all of these different representations of the still life is how people interpret it. And there's no wrong way to do it, but it's just wonderful to see such variety. So thank you very much, everybody. And now we're going to look back to this week's Makonata Session. The Makonata Session takes place on a Tuesday morning on Zoom from 11 to 12. And it very much does what we say on the tin. We make and we natter. And you can either bring any kind of craft project that you're already working on, show other people, maybe get some feedback, some bit of admiration is always nice. Or you can join in with an activity that Alison leads using recycled materials. So very often everybody's working on something completely different. And I've got 3 examples here of what people are working on at the moment. So this is one of Duncan Bridgestock's series of collages. And this is quite a departure for Duncan, because what he's done is I think he's cut up pieces and almost folded them as well into squares and rectangles, and then glued them all together in a very, very tight formation. So this is all in green, well, different shades of green and white, and it looks to me like there might be a sort of a co-op label. It's some kind of box that Duncan has really completely deconstructed and put back together again. And then this is Sophia, who's working on papier-mâché, which is an activity that Alison has just started. And as with last week, Sophia's working on a bowl. I think what they've done is taken any kind of kitchen bowl, put a bit of cling film over it to protect it, and then built the papier-mâché up on that. And what Sophia's been doing is using old wrapping paper. Now, there's not much you can do with old wrapping paper, in terms of its sort of pristine condition, but you can turn wrapping paper into papier-mâché in all sorts of ways. So I thought that was really imaginative. Now, this is Ellen Goody, and Ellen has developed an entire way of working of her own over the last few weeks. And what she's doing is she's drawing around kitchen implements and colouring the shapes in, and then cutting those shapes out and gluing them onto something different again to create a very unusual kind of collage. So these kitchen utensils, I think it's a pair of scissors. There's certainly at least one pair of scissors. There may be something else as well. And she's drawn around them, painted them on orange paper, cut the orange out with sort of different shapes again, and then stuck it onto purple. And again, it's just a really effective, simple thing to do. I think last week she'd been using I think it was a bottle opener, wasn't it? And the shape was just so interesting. It makes you look at these things in a completely different way. So thank you for sharing that with us, Ellen. So now we'll move on to something just for the live stream, which is an activity from Tracy. And we join in with Tracy every week to do more craft from recycled materials. So Tracy, what have we got for us in store this week?
Well, this week I thought I'd have a go at doing it's called mirror art, and it's a different way of using printing actually and painting. So yeah,
Let me get the first photo up.
yeah, it's another very simple and easy thing to do. Again, I used lots of recycled materials. You simply need some card and some tin foil, paint, a pair of scissors, and some old paper. What I did is I actually cut the side out of a cereal box and then covered that with tin foil. You're looking at the underside of it at the moment. So I folded the tin foil around it, and then you turn it over to have the shiny side, the tinfoil side. There we go. So that's why it's called mirror painting, I think. And then I just put on some blobs of paint. I just went for dark blue and a slightly lighter blue. And I used a paintbrush to just cover completely the whole area. And then what I did is you can use anything really, finger, the end of the paintbrush, pencil, and just draw your pattern onto the surface. So I've not gone right to the ends of that, but I've got a squiggly pattern and then like just a spiral pattern, I think, yeah. And then this is the actual print. So I took a piece of recycled paper and gently lay it on top of my tin foil, and then when I pull it off, this is what you end up with. And what I love about this is you can just keep doing this. You don't need any extra paint. You just, with your brush, you just wipe it off and start again. So I tried it again with a couple of tiles. I thought I'll make tiles this time. So I've got some lines and I've got another pattern. This is where I used a recycled paper bag, cut it into some smaller parts, smaller squares to make tiles, put them on, lifted them off, and not come out as well as the other paper, but I still quite liked it, and I'm still playing with it and experimenting with it. And at the end, I fancied doing a title. So now this is a reverse. So if you're looking at this and thinking, what does that say? It's the Together 2012 with the names of some of the presenters. We've got the cat on there. We've got Alison, Julie, Robin, Tracy, Sterre, Ju, Jazz, and then this is my reversed copy. So I put my paper on it, and this is what I came out with. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great, Tracy. Let me just take that off. I mean, I've never realized that you could print like that, and it's so straightforward and incredibly effective. I mean, you've done a lot of printing. I've done almost none. What's that? There is a name for that kind of printing, isn't there?
Probably. I cannot remember. I'm very impressed with it though, Tracy, because I like. There are two things that I like about it. I like the straightforwardness of it. It's not fiddly. You know, you're printing what you see, more or less. Although it's, as you say, it's mirrored. And the other thing I like about it is that you can reuse the paints. I would suggest for the second lot of printing that I would increase the paints probably, because you've lost some of them on the paper that you're using. But as a method, I think it's really, really impressive. I've never seen anything like it, and I really love it.
Yeah, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of that printing later on in Makonata. So we'll move on now and join in with Sterre and see what activity Sterre is demonstrating for us this week. Sterre Ploeger is a member of our associate drama company, Act Up Newham, and although she's due back in East London soon, she's been shielding for over a year in a barn in the middle of a wood in Norfolk, and that's where she's made this film.
Hi, I'm Sterre, and I made a painting rubbing leaves. It was beautiful. Bye. Bye.
So for anybody who couldn't see that, Sterre was literally picking leaves, placing them upside down so that you've got the veins most prominent under a piece of paper, and then just rubbing over them with different colored pencils. It was incredibly effective. So that's two beautifully easy ways to make, really effective prints that can then go on gift cards, all sorts of things. But moving swiftly on, we can't forget our weekly Clockwork Paralympics. I'm going to speed this up as much as I can so we can get on to our recommendations for the week ahead. But quick introduction to your teddy bear who's hoping to be wearing a medal this week.
This week we have Blossom, because they are a very light coloured teddy, about a foot tall, 30 centimeters tall, and she is wearing a lovely pink blossom coloured hoodie.
And we have Tanny, who is a pale honey-coloured bear dressed for sports in red and white trainers, a red sweatband around her head, and a blue hooded top, and fortunately already has her own gold medal. And our teddy bears, as always, are taking part in the International Virtual Bear Hunt. So we're back in... back pools, the track beside the pool is how I would describe the bathroom track. So as Robin says, a very shiny cork floor. We've got some new Paralympians in training this week. I have to warn you, they're a little bit unpredictable, Robin, but they're little pink clockwork pigs. Now, to join in from home, you have to decide, will you support the competitor on the right or the left-hand side of the screen? Robin, what's it going to be for Birmingham 2022 this week?
Yeah, Birmingham 2012, we will be choosing the right-hand side of the screen.
And London 2012 will therefore go to the left, and I'm going to pop it up on screen and let Robin commentate as always.
And here we are ready to go with our new pigs lined up. Pink pig to go with Blossom. Here we go. Oh, wow, that's incredible. Look at the speed of that. I mean, hello. Well, that was confusing because I'm going to dispute these. See, that went further, but the London one crossed the Birmingham one crossed the line first. It was definite. It went back as a victory loop, but the Birmingham one crossed the finish line first. I'm afraid you're still muted, Ju.
It did cross.
It did. I think it
This
did.
is. I was there. I was there, but never mind. It's fine, Robin. I think it took fright when it saw the finishing line and doubled back again, owing to the fact that at least one of its eyes has fallen out. But if you put the medal on your bear, I will put Tanny back, and we will move on to the recommendations for what we recommend people do online or offline the week ahead. That looks like a very smart medal, Robin.
Yep, this is it's a nice I will hold it up because it's a swimming medal, but it's different. It's different shape. It's interesting that medals aren't just round. This is a kind of bronzy rectangular shape, actually with cutouts as well to create like light behind it. So it's just it's nice to have a different medal for a change.
Yeah, when you've got a house full of medals from your children, it must be quite dull if they all look the same. We've just got the one gold plastic one from the mayor in 2012, so we don't have to worry about medal boredom. So who wants to go first with a recommendation?
I'm happy to go first as already got the mic. So my first recommendation is an online exhibition. It's called Art by Post, with the second title of Home and Hope. This is the exhibition is a result of an arts initiative from the South Bank Centre, where they commissioned a number of artists to create some activity booklets, which were sent out to some 4,500 people at home during the lockdowns. And then a whole host of work, including poetry and drawings and paintings and some mixed media stuff, was sent back, and they have collated the exhibition, which you can view online. And there's some really, really interesting work in there.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, I'm really glad you flagged it up because I hadn't seen it. And it was one of the things that I think was a real highlight for people last year and inspired a lot of people to join in from home, whether or not they joined in. And we would say the same. You can join in with our poetry topics. You can do your own still life picture. All of those images will be up, and the films and videos will be on our highlights and links page from about 3:00 on the Thursday that we do the live recording, and then they stay online. But yeah, I mean, I think it was really inspiring. I'd love to see it. I've got another exhibition that I'd like to flag up, which is online free until the 17th of October. And it's for local women from Newham exhibiting on the theme of unity and community. And it's supported by Rosetta Arts as part of the Newham Unlocked Festival. And the artists are Sylvie Belbaub, Farah Ishak, Ada Jusic, and Aisha Naim. So that's a really interesting exhibition. We don't often get a lot of spotlights on women artists from Newham, so that's one to watch out for. Tracy, what do you recommend apart from raving?
Right, well, this is a complete opposite to raving, and it's actually Tai Chi. Now, you might think, Tai Chi, can we do that? The Tai Chi, I think, especially with the drawing in evenings and the winter months coming up, this is something that I'm actually going to be doing. So you never know, I might actually show you a bit as well. So I'm going to look at Tai Chi because hopefully throughout the winter, it'll help with mental and physical health. It's all about gentle movement, gentle positions, breathing, stretching. And it's a free event with Eventbrite, and it's going to be on Sundays as we, and not it's not a one-off. It's a course that will be on a Sunday that you can find online. So I'm looking forward to trying that. I might not be able to do all the things, but I'll just do the bits I can do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I said last week I've just started a Zoom class on a Tuesday, and I'm really glad you've recommended this one because Julie wants to start, but the class I'm doing is definitely not for beginners. Is the only way I can describe it, as I kind of get up from my wheelchair and get back in my wheelchair and get up from my wheelchair and get back in my wheelchair. And it's a long time ago, but I did study for several years, and I'm still quite stretched at this one. And you're right. I mean, it's just so great and so accessible. You can do Tai Chi in a spine. I know, you can do it in a spinal brace. You can do it in a wheelchair, and there's no twisting, which is wonderful. I'm going to jump in here and say mine. I know Julie's waiting and waiting and waiting, but I'm going to say there's a really interesting event coming up next Wednesday from 4 to 5:30, again free and online, and it's about how you can actually curate performance art and how you can keep it for the future when it's actually a live performance that takes place in the moment. Now, I know from curating the Together Festival, lots of disabled artists are working in live art, lots more are experimenting. So I think if you're a disabled artist who does any kind of live art, performance art, or you're just interested in live art or performance art, it's an interesting one to go. And Claire Bishop, who's leading it, is Professor of Art History at the Graduate Centre of the City University of New York, but she actually got her PhD from the University of Essex. So, she's quite familiar with the British art scene. Julie, what do you want to recommend?
Well, going back to the New York reference, the Met Gallery, that's the big art gallery in New York, has got an online series of videos with 126 artists, each of which are describing paintings that influenced their work. I just thought it was fascinating.
Absolutely. That really does sound unmissable. Robin?
My next one is a TV show. I managed to take the time to watch the first episode of it this morning. It's called Alma's Not Normal. And I suppose the warning being with it does have some adult language in it. But I found it riotously funny. It is about a woman in Bury, who is probably late 20s, has been through the care system, and in fact, the writer and lead character are the same person, and a lot of the experiences are her own. I actually listened to a radio interview with her this morning, which tipped me about the show. And so she's been through care and is actually now she's working in production in TV, is offering internships to people who've been through care systems. So it's kind of really, really good whole circle stuff. And it's basically her as an unemployed, unskilled ex person in the care system, with a mother with issues and a grandmother who will do anything for kicks. And it's just really real, but also very funny. So and it's BBC and it's on iPlayer.
Yeah, and as I've said before, yes, since lockdown started, we have subscribed to Netflix, at Disney Plus, and probably at least one other, but we still watch far more on iPlayer than anything else. But particularly whenever you two recommend something, I always enjoy it. And I'd seen that and thought, oh, it's probably not for me. But now I know that it is. Tracy, what else would you like to recommend?
Right. My second recommendation is also an Eventbrite thing. It's free and it runs through the first week of October. And I'm watching this from an interesting point of view, having had a child that was out of school for 3 years because school just failed them. But it's World Education Week, the 3rd to the 8th of October. And my recommendation is it's a show that's been, not a show, it's a web I forgot how to speak. Right.
The
Webinar.
website.
Yeah. It's a program that's been put together to look at schools across the world. And there'll be 100 schools taking part, and they'll be looking at things that they've done to develop and inspire their students over that time. I'm really hoping it does say that you can take part, as in you can hashtag comments in, so it's not going to be live comments. I'm really hoping that as a parent of a child with an impairment, I can watch it and I'll be happy and enlightened by the wonderful way that education has changed over the years for our disabled kids. However, I'm expecting that won't be the case, and I'm really hoping I'm able to get some of my feelings and points across with the hashtag World Ed Week.
Yeah, there's a hashtag for every emotion, isn't there? Very quickly, Julie, what else would you recommend?
The Queen has got a massive collection of art, as comes as no surprise,
no.
really, doesn't it? But you very rarely actually get an opportunity to see it, some of which is inherited, some of which has been acquired. On Tuesday, between 2 and 3, there's an event which you can sign up to via Eventbrite, where there's a lecturer who's going to be going through various selected pieces of art, and it's a lovely opportunity to see something which is actually not really accessible to most of us at any point.
Thank you. I'm just going to flag up two very quickly for artists out there, and then it'll be on the highlights and links page under the Together 2012 TV pull down menu, or linked from the Together 2012 TV page, however you choose to get it. There's a VAA Art Cafe next Thursday from 11 to 12, free and online, and internationally successful Irish-born artist Vincent Devine discusses how self-representing artists can get more visibility and therefore make more money. So if you're a visual artist, I think that's unmissable. And then beginning at 2:00 next Thursday, there's something called Type Weekend Gather, and it's a 4-day virtual typography event sharing engaging content with a global audience. It's run by volunteers, and they say, we can't stress this enough. It doesn't matter where you live, how many fonts you've made, or if this is your first time at a design conference. If you love letters, you're welcome here. And I would just suggest, particularly if, like me, you have some kind of communication impairment, and particularly if it's around visual literacy, then learning more about fonts is so interesting, because all of the access, or the lack of access, is really in the design of that font. So it can be quite an empowering thing to join in with as well. But now I think we've probably, unless anybody's desperate to throw one more in, got to the end of what we've got time to recommend this week. Robin?
I'm just going to flag up, and apologies as I don't yet know their name, but it has been announced that CBBS have just appointed the first presenter with Down syndrome.
Oh, so I'm very much hoping that at some point in the next few weeks we'll be able to get an interview with him. But in the meantime, if you have young children, you're probably already aware of this. It's bizarre that it's groundbreaking to have finally, after all these years, one presenter with learning difficulties, but hopefully there'll be many more behind him. And in the meantime, we wish him well. And yeah, I'm definitely going to put on a bit of CBBS off iPlayer as well. But I'm going to get you to introduce the next item, Robin, and then after that, I'm going to finish with our BATS performance, our digital Hackney Carnival performance, which will need no introduction, I think. So we'll also say goodbye from East London at this point, and then Robin, over to you.
Okay, thank you. So you're going to watch a short musical piece. It's 3 different bits of music presented digitally, being played by Teddy. Now, Teddy is a member of the Together Youth Arts group, and kind of in as Tracy was saying, Teddy hasn't been in education for a while, and they have just started at a academy called the Boa Ormiston Academy, which is a performance academy, an arts performance academy. it may not be the smoothest route over the next 2 years, but fingers crossed. As a venue, they seem really, really supportive. And what you're going to see is 3 pieces that were made over the summer to introduce Teddy to the rest of Boa.